Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. Some men break in silence. Sigma males build empires in it. Most people fear pain. Sigma males study it. They don't whine, tweet vague quotes, or run to therapy to blame their childhood dog for abandonment issues. No, when pain knocks, Sigma males don't cry. They invite it in, dissect it, and turn it into blueprint material. Fact. Studies in behavioral psychology show that individuals who process emotional trauma internally and independently often develop higher adaptive resilience. But Sigma males don't just adapt, they reinvent. This isn't your typical he turned heartbreak into hustle story. No bootstraps, no drama montages, no crying in the shower to sad playlists. This is the dark, cold, and strategic metamorphosis of a man who stopped waiting to be saved and became his own reckoning. And just to be clear, he's not looking for applause, he's looking for results. Because pain didn't just shape him, it reforged him into something most people can't recognize and definitely can't handle. Let's break down exactly how Sigma males turn pain into the fuel behind their most terrifying greatness. Stay sharp, this is not for the faint of ego. Number one, they make greatness their revenge language. They don't get revenge the way most people do. They don't throw tantrums, send angry texts, or rant online looking for sympathy. Sigma males don't have time for emotional theatrics because pain has taught them something more brutal and far more effective. Silence and success are the sharpest weapons alive. When someone betrays them, doubts them, mocks them, or tries to reduce them, they don't argue. They just vanish and build. Greatness becomes their response. They stop talking and start building something so unignorable, so untouchable, that the people who tried to bury them are forced to watch their rise with clenched teeth. It's not about proving others wrong, it's about becoming so right within themselves that outside opinions become irrelevant noise. And the beauty of it? There are no fireworks, no announcement, no warning. Just one day you look up and realize the man you thought you hurt turned the wreckage into a kingdom. Sigma males understand the long game. They don't chase petty wins. They let time do the talking. They become the man who doesn't need to remind you what you did. Because the life he's built reminds you every time you see it. Every achievement, every level up, every quiet win is a sentence in the letter you'll never receive but always feel. And while others waste years trying to get even, Sigma males get elevated. They channel pain into work, focus, craft, vision. They turn isolation into productivity, betrayal into clarity, and emotional damage into bulletproof discipline. What was meant to destroy them ends up becoming the fuel that powers their most unstoppable evolution. People come back around expecting the same version they once knew. But he's gone. He didn't get revenge. He became a different species. The kind of man that doesn't compete, doesn't complain, and doesn't crack. The kind of man whose life now speaks so loudly you feel your mistake every time his name comes up. They don't clap back, they rise back. And that kind of transformation, that's not just greatness, that's poetic violence without a single word spoken. Number two, they use emotional pain as a lie detector. They don't guess anymore, they know. After going through enough emotional chaos, being lied to, misread, underestimated, and betrayed, Sigma males develop something deeper than intuition. It's not a vibe and it's not paranoia. It's a refined inner radar that can scan a person's energy within seconds. Pain taught them what to look for, the tone behind the smile, the hesitation behind the compliment, the agenda behind the kindness. They've seen what manipulation looks like when it's dressed as loyalty. They've felt the sting of flattery used as a weapon. So now when someone walks in with a little too much charm or too many compliments or too polished a mask, they catch it instantly. Not because they're suspicious of everyone, but because they've had front row seats to deception, repeatedly. That repetition has rewired their emotional instincts into something nearly supernatural. It's not that they've become cold, it's that they've become calibrated. They trust patterns over promises, behavior over words, silence over performance. They can sense when someone's pretending to care, pretending to listen, pretending to be genuine. Their nervous system flinches before their brain can even explain why. And they're not dramatic about it. They won't call you out, expose you, or waste time debating your intentions. They'll just quietly disengage, shut the internal door, and you'll never even realize you've been locked out. No confrontation, no warning, just absence. That's how their lie detector works. silently and with surgical precision. This sixth sense makes them nearly impossible to manipulate. People try, sure, they'll smile, flatter, guilt-trip, perform, but none of it lands, because pain already ran those simulations on them, and they didn't just survive it, they studied it, they graduated from it, and now they walk through life with a radar that sees straight through people who think they're being clever. Pain didn't destroy their trust, it evolved it into a filter so sharp most people never make it past the surface. Number 3, they accept that greatness demands private suffering. Sigma males stopped waiting for applause a long time ago. They learned that the kind of growth that actually transforms you, the kind that shifts your mindset, your discipline, your spirit, doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens when no one's watching, when the nights are long, silent, and brutal, when there's no one to cheer you on, no one checking in, and no one handing out trophies. That's where Sigma males do their real work. They've accepted that greatness is a lonely grind, not a glamorous journey, and they don't complain about it. They don't post motivational quotes or cry for support. They vanish into that space where the pain gets ugly and the pressure gets real. That's where they refine themselves quietly, ruthlessly, without an audience. Most people want to be seen while they're growing. Sigma males don't care about being seen. They care about becoming undeniable. They understand that if you want to build something extraordinary, whether it's your body, your mind, your craft, or your empire, you'll suffer in private long before anyone sees the result. You'll be doubted, overlooked, and isolated, and they're okay with that. In fact, they welcome it. Because pain strips away the distractions. It forces focus. It burns off the weakness. While others are busy performing their struggles to get sympathy or attention, Sigma males are in the shadows engineering transformation. The pain they endure becomes their blueprint. It doesn't break them. It shapes them into something sharper, colder, and more capable. And by the time the world notices, it's already too late to stop them. They don't need your approval. They don't need your applause. They don't even need you to understand. They've already made peace with the fact that greatness costs something most people aren't willing to pay: solitude, silence, and suffering without recognition. And that's exactly why they become unstoppable. Because while others wait for comfort, Sigma males are paying full price for power, and doing it in the dark. Number 4, they use rejection as a blueprint for dominance. Rejection doesn't crush Sigma males, it informs them. When someone slams a door in their face, they don't internalize it as proof of their inadequacy. They see it as raw data, evidence of where not to return, how not to depend, and who not to trust. Every dismissal, every ghosted message, every denied opportunity gets mentally archived, not as trauma, but as a blueprint for future independence. They don't keep begging for entry. They don't camp outside closed gates, waiting for validation. They simply study the architecture of what kept them out and start building their own version, stronger, smarter, and entirely self-governed. While others keep seeking permission, Sigma males start construction. They build fortresses out of every failure. And the beauty of it, those fortresses are never built to impress. They're built to protect, elevate, and reign. You won't find them trying to prove their worth to the people who rejected them. That phase ends quickly. What they do instead is far more lethal. They create a reality where the ones who dismissed them are no longer relevant or welcome. The rejection doesn't fuel revenge, it fuels reinvention. They use it to identify flaws in the system that excluded them. Was it rigged? Biased? Shallow? Good. Now they know what not to replicate. Instead of trying to squeeze back into that mold, they design a life so rich in self-sufficiency and power that no gatekeeper ever gets to decide their fate again. They become the architect, the builder, and the king of their own terrain. Ironically, those who once said no often come knocking years later. But by then, the Sigma male's world has evolved into something unapproachable, guarded by standards so high that past doubters can't even find the front gate. Because when Sigma males get rejected, they don't shrink, they scale, they don't knock twice. They install their throne exactly where they were told they didn't belong, and sit on it like it was always theirs. Number 5, they develop emotional austerity. Sigma males don't bounce back from emotional betrayal the way most people do. They don't forgive and forget, and they definitely don't reopen doors once someone's shown they can't be trusted. When they've been emotionally burned, something shifts permanently, not out of bitterness, but out of calculated necessity. They realize how rare their energy is, how expensive their loyalty, their love, their attention truly is. And from that point forward, they treat it like gold. They become emotionally austere. That doesn't mean they're cold or heartless. It means they've learned to cut the emotional fat. No more giving to people out of obligation. No more over-explaining, oversharing, or overextending themselves just to keep others comfortable. Every piece of them, time, attention, empathy, trust, now comes with a price tag. Not because they're transactional, but because they've experienced what happens when you give everything to people who've earned nothing. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being impossible to waste. If you want their trust now, you have to bleed for it, not literally, but through consistency, truth, loyalty, and effort over time. They watch what you do when they're not useful to you. They pay attention to how you act when no one's looking, and if there's even a flicker of betrayal, fakery, or laziness, they pull the plug quietly, permanently. People often misinterpret this as arrogance, but it's not. It's precision. Sigma males no longer operate emotionally on credit. They've been overdrafted before, and the emotional overdoses taught them to go minimalist. They don't hate people, they just refuse to make room for those who haven't proven they belong. And honestly, most don't make the cut. What you get now is a version of them that's highly selective, incredibly focused, and nearly impossible to manipulate. Not because they don't feel, but because they've learned that not everyone deserves access to what they feel. Their emotional circle is tighter, colder, and quieter, but it's also cleaner, and that's the cost of evolution. Number 6, they no longer wait for apologies. They become the consequence. Sigma males don't beg for apologies. They don't sit around hoping you'll realize what you did, come crawling back, or finally say the words you should have said. That era dies the moment pain sharpens them. They've waited before, waited for closure, clarity, or even a scrap of accountability, and all it did was waste their time and dull their power. So now they don't wait, they walk. And when they walk away, it's not just physical, it's spiritual, energetic, final. You don't get another version of them. You get their absence, and it hits harder than any revenge ever could. They become the consequence, not through drama, threats, or revenge missions, but through undeniable evolution. The same person who was once within arm's reach suddenly becomes someone you can't even access. No calls returned, no explanations, just silence. And in that silence, your actions echo louder than any apology you never gave. What Sigma males understand is this. True payback isn't rage, it's transcendence. It's becoming so elevated that the people who mishandled you now have to watch your name move in rooms they'll never enter. They're not plotting how to destroy you. They're too busy becoming someone you'll never qualify for again. There's no announcement, no watch me win moment. It just happens. Quietly, relentlessly, their life becomes cleaner, their energy becomes rarer, and your mistake becomes the lesson they never needed to tell you about, because now you live with it, they don't. Sigma males know the universe keeps receipts, and they've stopped chasing apologies that were never sincere to begin with. The people who wronged them will see them rise, thrive, and move forward untouched, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. By the time you realize what you lost, they've already become someone new. And the door, it's not just closed, it's gone. Because Sigma males don't circle back. They don't punish you. They become the version of themselves that makes your apology useless. Number 7, they learn how to sit with chaos without crumbling. Sigma males have stopped fearing chaos because they've already lived through it, emotionally, mentally, sometimes even physically. Pain didn't just hurt them, it trained them. It stripped away their innocence, burned off their emotional naivety, and introduced them to a truth most people avoid. Life doesn't owe you peace. Chaos is the baseline, and calm is rented. So instead of fighting the storm, they learn to sit in it and not flinch. While others panic at the first sign of disorder, Sigma males go still. They don't get frantic, reactive, or emotional. They observe, they assess, and then they move with purpose. Because pain already taught them what panic costs. It clouds judgment, it exposes weakness, and it makes you easy to control. Sigma males aren't interested in being controlled by fear, people, or unpredictable situations, so they've trained themselves to remain calm where most people collapse. This isn't a fake calm either. It's not bravado or cold-heartedness. It's earned composure, a kind of internal stability that can't be faked. They've suffered enough to know that chaos isn't the enemy. It's a forge. And if you know how to endure it, it builds you into something ruthless and unshakable. They no longer beg the world to make sense. They no longer look for signs or pray for things to smooth out. Instead, they become the storm. Unpredictable, sharp, focused. Not because they want to hurt anyone, but because they refuse to be at the mercy of anyone or anything ever again. People who've never faced real chaos often see their calm as coldness, but it's not. It's survivor clarity. It's the confidence of someone who's already been dragged through the fire and didn't just survive, but came out with flame-proof skin. So when everything starts to fall apart, relationships, business deals, plans, emotions, Sigma males don't crumble. They sit with the wreckage, look it in the eye, and decide what comes next. Because the storm doesn't scare them anymore. They are the storm now. Number 8. They replace sentiment with strategy. Sigma males don't romanticize the past once they've been emotionally wounded. They've learned, usually the hard way, that sentimentality can be a trap. It makes you overlook red flags, excuse bad behavior, and stay longer than you should. So they gut it out of their system like bad code. Nostalgia, emotional clinging, wishful thinking, it all gets deleted. Not because they stop feeling, but because they stop allowing their feelings to lead. Once that emotional line is crossed, everything shifts. They don't miss how it used to be. They see it for what it really was. They no longer confuse memories with meaning. What mattered then doesn't necessarily matter now. Love no longer blinds them. It sharpens them. They can care for someone and still walk away. They can feel something deeply and still choose what's logical. And they do it without apology. That's what makes them dangerous in the best way. Their emotions don't own them. They feel, but they filter. Every connection is now subject to a quiet audit. Does this add to my peace? Does it drain my purpose? Is it loyal or just familiar? No matter how much history is there, Sigma males won't stay stuck in emotional loops. If something doesn't make sense anymore, they don't cling. They cut. People who expect the old version of them, the one who used to be soft, forgiving, and endlessly patient, get confused when they meet the post-betrayal version. That version is calculated, discerning, and cold when necessary. Not cruel, just precise. The same heart is there, but now it's guarded by strategy, not sentiment. They move through relationships like chess, not checkers. Every piece has value, every move has intention. They'll give you loyalty, love, and trust, but only if you've earned it and kept earning it. And the second you prove you're inconsistent, disloyal, or disrespectful, no matter how deep the bond was, it gets severed. Clean, no scenes, no begging, no drawn-out drama. Because Sigma males don't lose themselves in emotion anymore. They use it as information. And when you master your emotions like that, you stop being led and start leading, even if it means walking alone. Number 9, they don't heal, they weaponize the wound. Sigma males don't go on healing journeys where they journal their feelings under the moonlight and try to find peace through forgiveness circles. That's not their style. When they get wounded, especially emotionally, they don't look to heal in the traditional sense. They don't try to erase the pain or sugarcoat the betrayal. Instead, they lean into it. They study it, break it down like a blueprint. Who caused it? Why it happened? What blind spot allowed it? And then they lock that data in. They don't let trauma dissolve. They let it harden, not into bitterness, but into precision, into strategy, into awareness. The wound becomes a weapon, not to hurt others, but to never be caught slipping again. Where most people try to forget, Sigma males archive. Where most seek closure, they create conclusions. And those conclusions shape everything they do going forward. They start moving differently, smarter, colder, sharper. They remember the tone in the liar's voice. They recognize the shift in energy before betrayal hits next time. They see through manipulation faster because they've bled from it before. Pain doesn't make them paranoid, it makes them impossible to fool twice, and they don't talk about it much. You'll never hear a Sigma male whining about who broke his heart or what trauma he's carrying. That's not his language, but you will notice how calculated he's become, how distant, how nothing gets past him anymore. That's not apathy, that's the weaponized wound at work. His trauma becomes a filter, a firewall, a power source. It fuels his drive, his standards, his solitude. It's why he doesn't crave attention anymore, why he doesn't chase people, why he doesn't play nice with anyone who hasn't earned proximity. The pain that was supposed to destroy him, it upgraded him. Now it moves silently behind every decision he makes, like a quiet bodyguard. You won't see the scar, but you'll feel its impact when you try to get close. Sigma males don't heal. They evolve, and their wounds, those aren't weak spots. Those are edges, sharp, silent, and always ready. Number 10. They build ruthless standards after every betrayal. Sigma males don't just move on after betrayal, they upgrade their entry requirements. Every painful experience becomes a new layer of quality control. It's not just about protecting themselves, it's about elevating their entire ecosystem. After betrayal, they don't ask, why did this happen? They ask, what weakness in my standards allowed this through? And then they fix it, permanently. They stop accepting half-hearted effort, flaky behavior, vague words, and all the little red flags they once overlooked in the name of empathy or potential. That version of them dies with the betrayal. What's born in its place is a version that's colder, clearer, and completely unwilling to bargain with nonsense. You want access to a Sigma male after he's been burned. You'd better come with consistency, honesty, and actual value. Not charm, not potential, not empty promises. Because he's no longer looking for people who look good on paper. He's filtering for people who can stand the storm and not fold. The kind of people who show up without being asked, tell the truth when it's inconvenient, and never make him question their loyalty. And here's the kicker, he doesn't explain his standards. He enforces them, quietly. If you fall short, you're simply removed from the equation. No drama, no announcement, no second chances for the same offense. Once pain has restructured his boundaries, there's no negotiation. He doesn't raise his voice, he just raises his standards. That's what makes Sigma males terrifying after betrayal. Not because they become aggressive, but because they become selective with surgical precision. They treat their peace like territory, and after pain, the borders become fortified. Entry is earned, not given. And most people don't make the cut anymore. Betrayal didn't make them bitter, it made them bulletproof. And every new person they encounter now walks into a system that was built out of fire, disappointment, and the kind of pain that turns a man from soft-hearted to stone-willed. Sigma males don't just learn the lesson, they install it as a filter, as a rule, as a gate you can't fake your way through. Number 11. They create a parallel world where they can't be reached. Sigma males don't move on in the conventional sense. They don't bounce back, post motivational quotes, or try to prove anything to the people who let them down. What they do instead is far more haunting. They disappear into a life you can no longer touch, not out of spite, but out of evolution. They build a parallel world, one that's completely sealed off from the people, places, and patterns that once drained them. They don't block you to get your attention. They don't make a scene. They simply vanish from your phone, your circle, your reality. But here's the twist. They're not hiding, they're building, quietly, aggressively, strategically. In the space where others expected them to break down, they begin constructing a version of life where they thrive alone and don't need your validation, apology, or presence to feel whole. It's not about revenge, it's about self-reclamation. Sigma males understand that sometimes healing doesn't mean revisiting the past. It means removing all doors that lead back to it. The world they create after pain is colder, clearer, and completely designed around them. Their goals, their peace, their silence. You're not blocked. You're simply irrelevant in the new blueprint. And the most haunting part, you can still see them. You'll see the glow-up, the success, the mental clarity, the peace you never helped them build. But no matter how close you get, you won't be able to enter that world again, because it wasn't made for second chances. It was made as a fortress. Every brick is laid with lessons, every wall a boundary, every window reinforced with experience. In that world, they're no longer reachable, not emotionally, not spiritually, not even conversationally. You can observe their rise from a distance, but you'll never again be seated at their table. That seat was burned, and even if you try to return, you'll find a gate with no handle, because Sigma males don't revisit places that once betrayed their peace. They don't come back. They build something so far beyond your reach, it haunts you in silence. Their greatness isn't loud, it's exiled, exclusive, and irreversible. Number 12, they stop participating in social theater. Sigma males reach a point where they can't pretend anymore, and they don't even try. After deep emotional pain, betrayal, or being misunderstood one too many times, something inside them snaps, but not in a chaotic way. It snaps in a way that frees them from performance. They stop wearing masks. Stop playing the role people expect. Stop laughing at the right jokes, nodding at the right opinions, or pretending to care just to blend in. That version of them is gone. Pain stripped them bare. When you've suffered privately and rebuilt yourself without applause, you lose the need to impress anyone. Social validation becomes meaningless. They no longer care about fitting in with cliques, staying on trend, or saying what's politically correct just to be liked. Their identity becomes rooted in truth, not approval. And because of that, they become nearly untouchable by public opinion. They see through groupthink. They spot herd mentality instantly. Conversations that used to interest them now feel shallow. Performative friendships, fake positivity, curated online personas, it all repels them. Not because they think they're better than others, but because they've seen what's real. And once you've lived in that rawness, surface level becomes intolerable. So they withdraw, not out of arrogance, but self-preservation. They stop playing along in family dynamics that demand compliance. They stop faking enthusiasm at parties where nothing real is being said. They stop posting for likes, attending events for appearances, or speaking just to fill silence. They show up only when it matters, and even then they do it on their own terms. This rejection of the social script intimidates people. Why isn't he playing the game? Why doesn't he conform? Why doesn't he care what people think? Simple, because pain already revealed the truth. Most performances are just people hiding their emptiness. Sigma males no longer need the mask. They've already met themselves in the dark. They stopped acting. Now they just are. And that quiet authenticity, it's more powerful than any performance ever could be. Pain doesn't break Sigma males, it refines them. Where others collapse, they calculate. Where most seek comfort, they chase clarity. And where many look for healing, they extract power. Every betrayal, rejection, and emotional scar becomes raw material for something greater, something colder, smarter, and untouchable. They don't return to what hurt them. They don't wait for apologies, validation, or redemption arcs. They disappear into silence and return as someone unrecognizable, someone built by fire, not fantasy. Their growth isn't performative, it's subterranean, off-camera, ruthless. And by the time the world sees it, it's already too late to interrupt it. They stop loving blindly, they stop trusting freely, and most of all, they stop making room for people who never earned their presence to begin with. Pain didn't just teach them, it transformed them into stormwalkers, fortress builders, lie detectors, into men who weaponize wounds and create entire empires from exile. This is why Sigma males don't just survive heartbreak or failure, they dominate after it, because their greatness isn't born from ease, it's carved out of chaos. If you found value in this, don't just watch. Engage. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss content that cuts through the noise and speaks to the rare few who actually get it. Like the video if it hit different. Drop a comment and let us know which truth hit the hardest. We read every single one. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. The real ones always recognize real when they see it. This isn't just a channel, it's a movement, and if you're part of that 1% who sees the world differently, welcome home.